Break out your headphones, DMV fam. The season is defined right now. What beast in the trenches is demolishing linebackers like they're made of cardboard? You won't see that on Red Zone. While you were sleeping, Adam Peters played poker. With Chicago, did we snag an elite guard? Or give away the future for a throwaway back? And amid the chaos, did our hero become a salary cap kingpin? His demand could burn 12% of the budget. Is he a genius or a traitor? The clock is ticking. Subscribe before this news bombshell wrecks your timeline. Like now, or you'll never know how this quiet tight end, a blockbuster negotiation, and a crazy contract will decide if we're contenders or prisoners of mediocre town. Dare you ignore it? Hint, Peters doesn't play. I've always told you that true champions in football are forged in the trenches. And John Bates just showed exactly why Adam Peters gave him $21 million over 3 years last March, while everyone was watching the flashy stats. Of the wide receivers and running backs, Bates was an absolute demolition machine on the line of scrimmage. Monday night against the Miami Dolphins, this man literally blocked 2 linebackers at the same time on Bill Krosky-Merritt's touchdown. Heard it right. 2 professional NFL linebackers, and Bates handled them like pee-wee players. I think many don't grasp the real value of a tight end that can make such devastating blocks. Now I ask you, how many tight ends in the entire NFL can do that kind of dirty work that wins championships? But let me explain exactly why this play was so special. Krosky-Merritt was running towards the end zone, and 2 Miami linebackers were converging to make the tackle. In a normal situation, those 2 defenders would have crushed the running back before he reached the goal line. But Bates, with perfect technique and impeccable timing, positioned himself to neutralize both defenders simultaneously. That's not luck. That's pure skill and football IQ at the highest level. Cliff Kingsbury knows exactly what he's got in Bates, and that's why you'll see him integrated in practically every play action and running play this season. He's not a player who will shine in receiving yards or touchdown stats, but he's the kind of warrior that opens truck-sized lanes for our running backs. I tell you this confidently, Bates was directly responsible for 3 of the most important runs in the first quarter against Miami, and that's just a taste of what's to come this season. The brutal reality is that many teams in free agency had Bates on their wish list. The Baltimore Ravens were extremely interested because they needed exactly that kind of blocker to complement Lamar Jackson. The Philadelphia Eagles were also sniffing around because Jason Kelce retired, and they needed more versatility in their offensive line. But Peters was incredibly shrewd and secured him before he slipped to another team in the division. Fans harshly criticized the contract when it was announced, especially when they compared his receiving stats to other tight ends getting similar money. But I've always said that football isn't played on fantasy football stat sheets. It's played on the field, with blocking assignments and dirty work. And Bates is literally one of the top 5 blockers in the league at his position. Here's a stat that'll blow your mind. According to Pro Football Focus, Bates had the 2nd best run blocking grade among all NFL tight ends last year. 2nd best. And this was in a year where our offensive line was inconsistent and our running game was mediocre. Imagine what he can do now with an improved line and an offensive coordinator who knows how to use him, with all the massive changes we have in the backfield and the offensive line. We desperately needed that consistency and reliability. Bates is literally the glue that will hold our ground game together all season. While other teams seek tight ends who run pretty routes and rack up receiving yards, we have a man who can demolish entire defenses and create opportunities for everyone. Else. This man survived Peters' massive and brutal house cleaning, and that says absolutely everything you need to know. Not many picks from the previous Dan Snyder administration are still here after the house cleaning. But Bates not only survived, he earned a significant raise. His development since arriving as a 4th-round pick has been absolutely incredible. And now he's finally getting the national recognition he always deserved. I firmly believe this season, You'll see exactly why that $20-1 million contract will be one of the best investments Peters made. With Austin Eckler bringing that pass-catching versatility, Jeremy McNichols as a reliable backup, and possibly Chris Rodriguez Jr., or a rookie carrying the ball in short yardage situations, Bates will be the man consistently paving the way for all of them. The chemistry between Bates and Jayden Daniels is also developing incredibly fast. Daniels understands that when Bates is on the field, he can count on reliable protection in play-action plays. That confidence is invaluable for a rookie quarterback who needs all the help he can get during his first NFL season. Now, let's talk about something that has the entire football world speculating intensely: the possible trade of Brian Robinson Jr. to the Chicago Bears. Bleacher Report, with serious connections in front offices across the league, projects an incredibly intriguing deal that will give us a fourth-round pick in 2026 and guard Ryan Bates in exchange for B-Rob. I'll be brutally honest from the start. On paper, this trade benefits us much more than the Bears, and I'll explain exactly why. The Bears are desperate for a running back who knows Eric Bieniemy intimately, and Robinson literally played under here in Washington throughout the entire 2023 season. That already established familiarity and chemistry is gold in the NFL. Ben Johnson, the new head coach in Chicago, who comes directly from Detroit, built his entire offensive philosophy in the Lions around a dominant ground game. During his years as offensive coordinator, Johnson made Detroit's running game one of the most feared in the entire conference. Swift, Jamal Williams, and then other backs consistently produced under his system. Robinson fits absolutely perfectly into those plans because he has exactly the skill set that Johnson loves: power running, reliable hands, and football intelligence. Now, I ask you this: doesn't it seem incredibly convenient that while Swift keeps constantly dealing with ankle and knee injuries, and Roshan Johnson is currently sidelined with foot problems, we have exactly what Chicago needs most? Robinson had career-high numbers in receiving categories under Bieniemy here in Washington, demonstrating that crucial versatility that modern NFL offenses require. But here's what's really good for us as an organization: Ryan Bates isn't just any lineman. He's an incredibly versatile interior lineman who can seamlessly play both guard positions and even center in emergency situations. That's exactly what we desperately need to protect Jayden Daniels during his crucial rookie season. With Laramie Tunsil locked in at left tackle and Josh Conley Jr. probably starting at right tackle, Bates could immediately upgrade our interior line stability. I firmly believe that if this trade materializes, Adam Peters walks away winning massively. A fourth-round pick gives us significantly more flexibility in future drafts, especially considering Peters has demonstrated an incredible eye for talent in later rounds. But more importantly, Bates represents an immediate upgrade that could make the difference between Jayden Daniels surviving his rookie year or getting constantly pressured. Let me break down exactly why the Bears are so desperate. Kyle Monangai looked promising in preseason, but being realistic, he's a seventh-round rookie pick. You simply cannot rely on seventh-rounders to carry significant workload during regular season, especially in a competitive NFC North. Swift has played more than 14 games just once in his entire career. That's a massive red flag for any team trying to compete immediately. Robinson, on the other hand, gives them that insurance policy and proven experience they need right now. He's shown he can handle workhorse duties when necessary, and his pass-catching ability under Bieniemy's system will give Johnson incredible flexibility in game planning. Plus, Robinson's contract situation works perfectly for the Bears. They get him for his final year before free agency, which means no long-term commitment but immediate production. Meanwhile, for us, this trade represents exactly the kind of forward-thinking management Peters has been implementing since day one. We're getting better long-term value while addressing immediate needs. Bates immediately improves our offensive line, and the fourth-round pick gives us ammunition for future moves. It's exactly the kind of win-win scenario that separates great G-Miz from mediocre ones. The Bears are also under tremendous pressure because their fans expect immediate improvement after years of offensive struggles. Johnson was hired specifically because he fixed Detroit's offense, but he needs the right personnel to implement his system. Robinson provides that missing piece while we get better overall value. These kinds of trades require incredible timing and market awareness. Peters clearly understands that Robinson's value is probably at its peak right now, especially with his connection to Bieniemy and the Bears' desperate need. Waiting until during the season could significantly decrease his trade value, especially if our running game struggles or if Robinson gets injured. The reality is that with Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols, and potentially other backs in our system, Robinson might not be as essential for our success as he would be for Chicago's immediate needs. That's smart roster management, maximizing value while addressing weakness areas. And now we come to the absolute bombshell that has all of Commanders Nation completely divided and probably arguing on every social media platform. Terry McLaurin's contract situation has become a complete disaster. Nikki Giavala from The Athletic, who has some of the most reliable sources within NFL front offices, just revealed absolutely explosive information that perfectly explains why this negotiation has extended throughout the entire summer. And I honestly cannot believe what I just read. McLaurin's agent, Buddy Baker, isn't just asking for the exact same money that DK Metcalf recently got from Pittsburgh. He's literally asking for more money per year. We're talking about significantly more than $33 million per year in average annual value. That would put him directly in the top 4 of absolutely every receiver in the entire NFL while simultaneously consuming more than 11.8% of our entire salary cap. Now I ask you this fundamental question. In what parallel universe does Terry McLaurin, with absolutely all the respect and love I have for him as a player in person, worth more money per year than DK Metcalf? I love Terry unconditionally. He has been our consistent warrior during the absolute darkest years of this franchise. But this demand is completely and utterly disconnected from current market reality. Let's break down exactly why this situation is so problematic. DK Metcalf, when he signed his extension, was 26 years old and coming off multiple 1,000-yard seasons with elite production. McLaurin will turn 31 years old exactly when this potential extension would kick in. In NFL terms, especially for wide receivers, that's approaching the danger zone where performance typically starts declining rapidly. Here's the really fundamental problem that everyone is missing. Buddy Baker is completely lost negotiating against an absolute shark like Adam Peters. Baker probably assumed that because McLaurin has been loyal and productive during terrible years, Peters would cave for sentimental reasons. But Peters operates purely on business logic and long-term planning, not emotions or franchise loyalty. In fact, according to multiple sources close to the negotiations, Peters almost immediately cut off contract talks completely when he heard that initial asking price. That tells you everything you need to know about how unrealistic Baker's demands were from the very beginning. Peters literally walked away from the table because the demand was so outrageous. The brutal reality check is this: absolutely no team in the entire NFL, none will pay Terry McLaurin more money than proven elite receivers who are younger and more productive. It's not a question of talent, loyalty, or emotional connection. It's pure business mathematics and salary cap management. Peters is managing this team like a professional organization with long-term vision, not like a charity case or nostalgia project. McLaurin hasn't appeared in practice since voluntary workouts began, and that's now extending into August. He's using traditional hold-out tactics to force this deal, but I guarantee you this: Peters absolutely will not bend or compromise his principles. This man has consistently demonstrated he has unwavering standards and a comprehensive plan to build sustainable success, and he will not mortgage the future of this franchise to satisfy an irrational demand. I fundamentally believe that Baker is completely over his head in this negotiation. He's representing an incredible player and genuinely good person. But he's asking for numbers that literally make no financial sense for a receiver who will be on the wrong side of 30 throughout most of any extension. Peters knows exactly what he's doing, and this outrageous demand only confirms he made absolutely the correct decision maintaining his position. But let me explain something crucial that many fans aren't considering. McLaurin's production, while impressive, hasn't been elite enough to justify top 4 receiver money. Last season, he had 79 receptions for 1,002 yards and 5 touchdowns. Those are very good numbers, but they're not elite numbers that justify being paid like Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, or Tyreek Hill. Compare that with DK Metcalf's recent production, 66 receptions for 1,114 yards and 8 touchdowns. But Metcalf also brings significantly more red zone value and has proven he can perform in playoff situations. Plus, Metcalf was younger when he signed his deal, which makes his contract more valuable. Long-term fans are genuinely worried this could seriously affect our championship chances in 2025. But I tell you this fundamental truth. It's infinitely better to have principled management now than regret overpaying later when McLaurin's performance naturally declines. Just look at what happened to teams that overpaid aging receivers. They become salary cap prisoners, unable to build complete rosters. Peters also has another consideration that fans might not realize. Jaden Daniels' development, while McLaurin would obviously help Daniels, overpaying one receiver could prevent us from building the complete supporting cast that Daniels needs to reach his potential. It's better to have 3 very good receivers than one overpaid aging star and nobody else. The contract negotiation also reveals something troubling about Baker's understanding of market dynamics. Agents who truly understand the business know when to push and when to be realistic. Baker's approach suggests he either doesn't understand current market conditions or he's giving McLaurin bad advice based on outdated thinking. Here's what I think ultimately happens. McLaurin and Baker need to return to negotiations with significantly more realistic numbers, probably somewhere in the 25 to 28 million range, which would still make him well compensated but not franchise crippling. The alternative is that Terry plays out his final contract year and leaves as a free agent, which helps nobody. McLaurin also needs to consider his legacy carefully. Does he want to be remembered as the receiver who helped build a championship foundation, or as the guy who held out for unrealistic money and potentially damaged team chemistry? Those are the real stakes here, beyond just dollars and cents. Look, these 3 major stories show exactly what's happening inside Ashbourne right now, and each represents different aspects of how modern NFL teams operate. We have John Bates being that unsung hero, maintaining offensive effectiveness through dirty work that doesn't show up in statistical categories. A potentially brilliant trade scenario that could strengthen our roster while getting maximum value for assets, and a contract negotiation testing absolutely everything about our new administration's principles and long-term vision. Do you think Peters should ultimately cave to McLaurin's demands to maintain team harmony and keep our most recognizable offensive weapon? Or do you think he should absolutely stand firm regardless of potential consequences, even if that means losing McLaurin in free agency next year? Does that projected Robinson trade for Bates and a draft pick seem like genuinely smart business? Or are you concerned about losing backfield depth? And regarding John Bates, do you think fans and media generally undervalue players like him who contribute primarily through blocking and dirty work rather than flashy statistics? Is his contract actually a bargain compared to what other teams pay for similar production? This is exactly why we need to maintain unity as Commanders Nation during these crucial decisions. In good times and challenging moments, we are a family that supports our team through thick and thin, regardless of individual player situations or front office decisions. If these revelations impacted you as much as they impacted me, hit like on this video and subscribe to the channel to never miss a single update about our beloved Commanders, let me know in the comments which of these 3 stories surprised you most and exactly what you think Peter should do in each specific situation. Also, tell me if you think McLaurin's demands are justified based on his production and loyalty, or if Baker is completely overplaying his hand in these negotiations. We are more than just fans, we are a genuine community. We are a Burgundy and Gold family that never gives up on our team, regardless of what challenges we face during any particular season. And of course, hail to the Redskins!